Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 34 of the UTR Pro Tennis Tour podcast. My name is James Mackay. I'm the Director of Player and Collegiate Development at UTR Sports. As you know, the UTR Pro Tennis Tour is the go-to tour for rising tennis professionals across the world. Guaranteed matches, guaranteed prize money. Next on the show, I have the head men's tennis coach at the University of Miami, Alex Santos. Welcome on and thank you for your time.
James, thank you for having me. Honestly, it's a true pleasure. Very humbling experience. I want to take this opportunity, obviously, thank you for everything you are doing for tennis and college tennis in particular. And it's a pleasure to share the stage with such a good friend like you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Coach. Look, you've done this for multiple years. You've won conference championships. You've had success. But at the same time, I think one of the reasons why I like to communicate with you professionally is you also have a great perspective. Can you explain to people listening what your perspective is now that you've done this for 16, 17 years and what you truly believe in as a head coach?
I think perspective is key in life. I tend to tell my players and to the close friends I have that happiness is two good thoughts, two bad thoughts, right? If it's more than that, probably you still have some work to do in order to get to where you want to be. So the way we frame everything that is happening in our lives, I think is extremely important. That mental work that we have to do, you know, between our ears is crucial in order to find success in life. I think it's hard to manage failure. It's definitely very hard to manage failure, but I think it's even harder to manage success. Sometimes our egos get in between. So I always say, and this is philosophical, right? Some people like to call Coach James, Coach Alex. I'm Alex, just happens to be that I coach tennis, the sport that I absolutely love. And I think it's philosophical and very important because I don't think I have the importance of being called coach. I think it just happens that I coach tennis, and I'm trying to help you through tennis and through life to be a better version of yourself.
That's great. That's amazing. I would say, look, you made the NCAA tournament last year for the first time in a couple years. Um, you've done really well. Maybe overachieved statistically by UTR. Why do you think that is? What would you say is the reason why your teams win these close matches, especially at home? I saw videos of your team winning these great matches. What is the reason for that? Could you label it? Is it tennis? Is it fitness? Is it culture? Is it the players you have? What is it?
I think that's an easy one. I think it's special players. Special players do special things, and obviously I was very lucky to have special players that wanted to do special things, that wanted to be helped, that felt that their best tennis was still ahead, that were able to stick together through adversity and show that they had something inside of them, and they had a word to say, and they wanted to express themselves, and wanted to express themselves. I had a player that told me, you know, on paper, maybe we weren't the best team out there. And he told me, I promise you that we'll put Miami tennis back in the national map. And it's cool to see the new generations valuing words so much, because I think that's the most important thing we have as human beings. And they promise, and they achieve what they wanted to achieve. We wanted even to finish a little better than what we did, but there's growth. I truly believe in culture. I truly believe that good people do great things. And my background, I have a degree in sports science. I have all but dissertation in exercise physiology. I'm a University of Miami alum. Did not finish my thesis, but it was in exercise physiology, my PhD. So I think fitness is extremely important, and and just try to be the best you can be in all areas.
This is great information here today. I'm learning a lot as well in this, Alex. I want to talk to you about recruiting, right? Things have changed recently. I left coaching before all this NIL stuff and revenue sharing, and I really don't have too much knowledge on it. But I also want to talk to you about what you believe in, right? What do you look for in a recruit? How are you currently recruiting to get players to the University of Miami? You have statistically by UTR an NCAA tournament team this year. Are you looking for more players? Are you looking for more in the future? And if so, what do you want to come join your program?
I think, it all starts with being a good person. Again, if you are a good person, and many, many, many years ago, I was born and raised in Portugal. At the age of 10, I told my mom that one day I would leave the country to go to live in Barcelona, a world capital for tennis. And I did. When I was 21, I did an exchange program. I spent also a summer there. And I was lucky because I met one of my childhood heroes, a very important coach, and that then became a mentor and a close friend that I have consulted and still do on a regular basis. And one day I had a coach coming into the academy, and my mentor asked me, "What did you think of him?" And I got really scared. I was 21. I did not had watched him coach yet, and I was being asked for an opinion. And I said, I didn't see him coaching. I don't know. And he told me, "Alex, it's not about coaching. If he's a good person, he'll become a good coach. And if he's not a good person, he won't ever become a good coach." So I think we want, obviously, someone that is a great person. Now, number two, someone that is a great student and a great tennis player. By great tennis player, I mean weapons, right? We need a certain level of talent at this level. Uh, Modern tennis, big serve, no holes. Generally speaking, these junior players are not good in the transition game and not as good in doubles, right? I think college is great in many ways, but one of the most important in terms of player development is the ability to get better in doubles and to take those skills into their singles court. um, so we are definitely looking for that. And then I think passion, right? Passion for the game, that want to be on the court, that want to improve. That I think is key. That you love what you're doing, and you have options, but this is where you want to be. This is what you want to do. I think that's what we are really looking forward to having, and people that prioritize Miami. I think at the end of the day, there's many options for the best players, uh, and the ones that prioritize Miami because this is where they want to be. I think they will succeed. I always say in the recruiting process, there's no right or wrong. I think there's space for everyone, and I think there's no need to judge. You might like, uh, the sun. Somebody else might like play indoor tennis. There's no right or wrong there. It's honest, just being very transparent, very honest. Players need to be very mature, which is hard. Again, I like the word perspective that we have talked in this podcast, because it's very hard when people are recruiting you so heavily and you have so many options to really take the time to be with yourself, to be with your thoughts, to analyze your goals and be like maturely, objectively, without ego, what do I want to accomplish after 4 years of college tennis? And that is very hard to do because I don't think there's enough talent right now in terms of quantity. I think there's spectacular talent. Obviously, the players are getting better and better, but I think the volume of it is not amazing. I think we have something to do with that in terms of tennis, trying to get more people to play the game and at the higher level of the game. And then it's hard to stay humble and to stay focused, right? When everybody's telling you what they have and showing their very best, and not really sometimes preparing for the challenges that will be constant, right? That's one guarantee that I tell all my players, that you will be challenged.
Love it. Well, I'll say you sitting there in that shirt. There are certain logos in college athletics that are so powerful that catch my eye, and I have to say that as you would do it, as I see on TV, and when you watch football and stuff, is an incredibly powerful thing to me, anyway. But I also want to talk about what it's like to go to the University of Miami, right? If a player is listening to this podcast today is considering going to Miami, or maybe wants to come on a visit to Miami, or wants to go to school there, my simple question is why? What's it like? Can you describe it?
Absolutely. Well, I'm biased. Number one, because I'm an alum. Again, this was my first program, my first love in this incredible country that I am blessed to be a part of. So we can go through many different layers, right? I think in terms of the city, it's an incredible city, all right? It's a world class city that in the past, I would even say 5, 6 years after COVID, have grown so much and have been providing so much opportunity. And it really is a secular change in terms of resources, in terms of talent, and in terms of technology. Historically, when these three factors combine, special things happen. And this is exactly what is happening at the city of Miami right now. Then you have a world class university, right? From the macro to the micro, right? We have a world class university. Any degree that you can graduate from at the University of Miami is world class and will open a lot of doors and a lot of opportunities. And number three, we're going to go into tennis, right? Pro players live in Florida for a reason. We just had the pleasure to have like some pro players at our courts, and there's
Yes, I
no
saw that.
NIL
João Fonseca was there.
among others. Probably like there will be a post by the end of the week, another very important player with multiple Grand Slams.
Oh,
So
wow.
we keep it private here. We want to respect the players and obviously give them the best opportunity to prepare for their careers, and again just being great people. But after everything is said and done, and there's no other factor outside of performance, where do players want to live? Where do players want to train? Where do players want to buy houses? And definitely Miami and the state of Florida is one of the first choices. So from like, the opportunities in terms of academics to work to playing pro tennis, I think I'm not an arrogant person, but I think we are one of the most complete packages. And then the city, like having so much culture around it, I think it's unique and special.
I'm still trying to think who might be on campus right now. Love it. Alex, you are from Portugal. We run PTT events in Portugal, which from feedback from players are amazing. So kudos to our partner over there, Fred Gill, who's running multiple PTT events in the country, great country of Portugal. Hopefully, one day you will see PTT also coming to the University of Miami, which is very exciting. I also want to talk about the Portuguese mindset to college tennis, right? What's it like for an up and coming player? I know what the British mindset is. What's it like for players in Portugal? Do they want to go to college, or do they see that as a failure?
Well, to be honest with you, I think it's again, I'm not here to say like, that college tennis is the only path, but I am here to say that statistically and analyzing the facts in an objective manner without emotions, it's very, very hard to discuss that college tennis is absolutely not a unique, phenomenal, special, and any other objective of that type to describe the opportunity that college tennis provides, including to play pro tennis. Needless to say that our best Portuguese tennis player on the ATP tour right now is Nuno Borges, and he played 4 years of college tennis. So after that
Yeah.
example, our most relevant and potentially our best player ever, I do think that Nuno has the potential and will eventually become the best Portuguese tennis player ever to play the game of tennis, to play the sport of tennis. I think it's close to impossible to deny the path, the way of college tennis in order to accomplish your dreams. I do think that like we have an incredible sport. I love this sport. And I think we are not connected enough. I think all different agents in tennis, and I think you and I have been trying. to connect the dots and to grow the sport of tennis throughout different skills, right? You are right now with UTR PTT. I'm with University of Miami. How can I help you? How can you help me? How can we help tennis? Because if you think about it and you have like a path where, hey, if your children are playing tennis and your children are playing competitive tennis and they achieve to a level that they have access to scholarship at the best institution of the United States of America, while giving themselves an option or even the best option to play pro tennis with all the expenses paid for, with incredible opportunities to play tournaments like the ones you organize. How could you say no? And now we increase the volume. Now we have more children playing our sport. Now we have players going potentially back home in the summer, showing the path to the younger generation, showing them what is hard work, what is discipline, what is being thankful. How can that be bad for clubs, academies, the country in itself? Obviously, I am following the UTR PTTs in Portugal and seeing some of the clubs that I have played tennis at brings great memories. And I just feel that we all need to, for 1 second, kind of think about the betterment of the group and not just for what we have going on with our lives.
Totally agree. By the way, true story, 2019 in Gainesville, we were playing Mississippi State in the final of the SEC tournament, and our number one player looked at me in frustration. He was frustrated at me as a coach, which is fine. I like the passion. And he said to me, "What do I do when playing against Nuno?" And my answer was, as I sat down, honestly, I'm not sure. I really was not sure. He didn't appear to have any kind of hole and did not miss a ball. And now he's top 30 in the world. So how about that? Um,
Incredible story and a way to be honest in that moment of tension. I think sometimes it comes down to that, right? Just having perspective, smiling, and be like, "Hey, the guy's really good. Let's see if we can be better."
exactly. Um, Alex, how do you use UTR in recruiting, and how do you use it for your team? Maybe preparation for dual matches, scheduling. Can you explain how you use our platform and our system for your program?
I think in so many different ways, from obviously checking the players in terms of their level, all right, because there's definitely a baseline level that we want to hit when we are serious in the recruiting process. To like checking their results, to checking potential events, to scouting the opponent. There's so many different ways that your platform is extremely valuable. And again, I think it will be a very exciting project to bring the UTRs, PTTs into the University of Miami campus.
By the way, I'm from Scotland, and Scotland are playing Brazil in the World Cup in Miami. And I'm hoping that in the spring I get a call from Alex because he has connections in a town that he's lived in for multiple years to help me get an affordable ticket to watch Scotland versus Brazil.
That's a big ask. That's a big ask. But I will definitely do my very best. Everything is possible, and till the match is over and I shake hands in defeat, I still have a chance, and I will fight for it.
Scottish people will boost the economy in Miami, and I think without saying it, you know how. Um, what do you think about Portugal? How's the Portuguese team looking? How are we going to do in the World Cup here, Alex?
Well, again, I like to think and kind of like throughout my generation, and I was lucky enough to see some of the best players in the world and grew up with them. And even before that, right, we had legends like Eusebio. And then obviously throughout my childhood, I was able to watch players like Figo. And I think it's an incredible history of growth, right? We have now Cristiano Ronaldo, the icon of football, soccer. I think it's incredible what he has done in his career and for his country and his people. And it all started with older players, with leaders that kind of taught him the way. I was lucky enough to actually watch him practice with the national team when he was 17, 18 years old. And one thing that was clear at such a young age, it was an exercise of shooting, of trying to score goals. And some of the players were as good as him or close to what he was at the age of 17 with their dominant leg. But Cristiano at the age of 17 was already very, very complete. And I think his transition, his maturity, his growth throughout the years, and now with the younger players, we have, I think, the best left back in the world. We have a midfield that is absolutely extraordinary with two players that won Champions League. I think we have the perfect combination of experience and youth and quality and a mindset that will hopefully get us to our first World Cup trophy.
Love it. Love the Portuguese football passion. Sorry, I'm calling it football. I'm also from Europe. Last question for you, Alex. Last one. Where are we as a sport, college tennis? What's there's obviously a lot of changes recently. You know, you see all these things with revenue sports and football coaches getting paid X amount of dollars to, you know, when they unfortunately lose their job. And this is a non-revenue sport, right? What would be your advice to leaders of the game? And what would you say? How would you say this game has changed? Because I think things need to improve. That's my opinion. But I'm curious what your opinion is.
Uh, in a very humble way, because obviously I think that's an extremely great question, but with a very, very huge responsibility that comes with trying to answer that question. I'm all in for the sport of tennis. First and foremost, I think we have an incredible sport, and I think we all have a huge responsibility to grow our sport, right? And kind of going back into the Federer, into the man that is behind me, all right, Rafael Nadal, Djokovic. I think they all put a lot of effort into making tennis a better sport, growing the game of tennis. Really, like taking our sport into a completely different level. You said it all, right? Non-revenue sports. So I think we should be fighting for more scholarships, all right? And really like making our sport and college tennis sustainable. I think it's very hard when there was like a abrupt increase in $20 million in a university budget, because that revenue share budget is obviously an increase in expenses. I think in any athletic department, institution, I think $20 million is a lot of money, very hard to deal with. So I think we have to strengthen our base, make sure that everything we are doing is to put our sport in a very solid position and in order to grow it. I think it's very hard to justify players making money when they are not generating that money. And people that know me that I am very, very generous. I think that's one of my best qualities. A lot of other things that I need to work on, but being generous is one of them. And I'm all about people acquiring resources to further their lives. But I do think that we have to be very careful. And this past summer, not long time ago, 5 6 months ago, we saw a lot of programs unfortunately being cut, and I think that's very
Yeah.
sad. I think that weakens our sport. So whatever we can do to make that base stronger, to come together, to put us in a really solid position to then grow, I think that can only help the sport, and I think that's our best shot of succeeding.
Well, Alex, I really appreciate your time. I've enjoyed getting to know you over the last year and a half to 2 years. From everyone at UTR, we wish you the best of luck this season. We will be following and look forward to working with you soon. So thank you for your time and best of luck.
James, thank you for having me, and obviously all the staff that works extremely hard at UTR. Thank you for everything you are doing, and I take this opportunity to also wish you, James, and your family a Merry Christmas.
You too, Alex. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.